Welcome to another edition of Horror Tales from Around the Net. Tonight's story, The Darkness of Light. How often do you make a decision in life that you truly regret? A choice I made ruined my life. I write this as a broken man. A horrible act was committed, and the shadows in my closest are going to drive me insane. Give me a few minutes of your time and allow me to present to you the pain that haunts me. It was a love-hate relationship between me and my assistant. We are both recognized by the state as doctors of science. We practice a wide range of studies. Our methods differ, usually to the point of arguments erupting into fierce competition. He was a good man, though. He and I would change the world. Our competition, our bond, it was strong. Our work was our first priority for a long time. He would slave day after day, night after night. I pushed myself to the brink of insanity, coming up with the most complicated schematics, mapping brain functions, creating power cells, working with various metals and compounds. My partner would draw up plans and gather materials. I would never say that he is beneath me, but there was a reason he was my assistant and not a co-worker. This would be why the events unfolded in such a way, to destroy my son and drive me to madness. I cried tears of joy the day my son was born. Work was set aside as I played the role of father and mother. He was a miracle. I held him and fed him. I built him a great room full of toys and things for him to play with. I taught him everything I could think of. I trained him in seeking knowledge. For weeks after he was born, I would walk him around our house and show him books to read and explain things about the outside world. I was so naive. For all the book smarts I had accumulated, I knew nothing of the real world. The monsters in the wilderness were nothing compared to the one lurking in my laboratory. If I had only realized, the greatest threat to me was wearing a lab coat and pretending to be my assistant. It didn't take long to find out there were serious problems with my son. He was having problems with his heart, and I, for one, considered every surgery I could think of to make him better. Upon the thought of his body being changed, he refused. Being so very independent, he said no. My son told me that he did not want to be saved. I cried and stomped my foot as he opened the door and walked out of his home. I fell to pieces on the living room floor, and my wretched assistant approached me and put his dark, scheming hands on my back in a comforting manner. He told me he would find my son and bring him home. I was relieved, knowing he was on my side. I watched him run after my beloved child and had no idea that he was going to stab me in the back with this very act. He died in my assistant's arms. That's what he wants me to think. I know better now. I was so stupid when he told me. Depression and longing blinded me from the truth. He was smirking. I couldn't see it. My assistant was a ruthless liar. He told me that he found my son dying in a field. He said that he wanted his father to know that he loved him. My assistant was the most disgusting and disturbed individual I've ever associated with. He cooked up the whole thing in an effort to make me do what I did. He used me like a toy. I hate him. 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 I want to go back in time and put a bullet in his head. He is why my son is an abomination and my firstborn is dead. I was determined. This time I won't screw up the heart. My assistant worked diligently with our current projects. Directors of major companies were calling. People wanted their products. I had other plans, though. Most of my designs were complete. It was up to the assistant to put them together. This was another vital mistake I made. The monster in the laboratory was slowly infecting my work. I slowly created my next crowning achievement. I had a son again. He opened his eyes, and my heart was whole again. He was so much better. He was less independent, although I kept that part of my other boy. He was kind and helpful. I was on such a roll, I even started working on a little girl. I was proud of myself again, and nothing would stop me. How could I have been so delusional? The monster was getting ready to make his move. I would never be so devastated in my life. This would be the end of me. That arrogant prick of a human, scum of the earth, would cause me to do something that I would rather commit suicide than remember. I watched him take my projects. He laughed at me, sabotaged the laboratory. He and my dead son walked out of my broken laboratory, stealing every project, their schematics, every shred of evidence that any of it came from my genius. I was powerless to stop them. The monster ripped everything I owned, everything I loved. Almost. I still had him. My new son is still with me. I knew what I had to do. The only thing I could do. I needed those projects back. I needed my life back. I felt like my whole world had collapsed. I spent my time working with these pathetic kids and missed the obvious signs that my fake assistant was going to ruin me. I grabbed my son. I put him on the table. He was scared. He was crying. I grabbed a saw and a screwdriver. I started work. It's my hope you will become what I need you to be. You will give me my life back. I entrust this task to you. I know you can do it. You have to. You have no choice. You will become what I need you to be. It's my only hope. While he was screaming, I mutilated him. I added armor. I gave him a bigger power source. I added weapons, and a powerful helmet was screwed onto his skull. I will name him Megaman. The end. Hope you enjoyed this week's horror tale from around the net. Join us next time for another horrifying tale.